Happy Pride, everybody! My name is Charlene Liu. I pronounce she, her, hers. And the question for today is there a room for rainbow? Is there any room for rainbow in Asia? Now, before we answer that question, we need to talk about what being LGBT is like in Asia first, right? And in order to do that, I really have to talk about my story because, well, it's been a ride. Okay, I'm just going to be really quick here and say I'm 50. I just turned 50 earlier this year. So coming out for me has been quite a journey. I was in the closet for like 40 years. So I grew up in Malaysia, born and grew up in Malaysia. And Malaysia, you know, is a Muslim country. Being gay is illegal. It still is. So I had my life pretty much set out for me, right? Get good grades, go to good university, get a good job, find a nice boy, get married, have kids, and then live happily ever after. Of course, that didn't happen. So I knew I liked girls from very, very young, and I thought, okay, maybe this is a phase, you know. And going to an all-girls school did not help. So I thought, okay, I will go to the US, and then I will meet nice boy during my degree, and then, you know, all be sorted. Of course, that didn't happen. So I said, okay, I'm just going to be in a closet forever and ever. Now, after graduation, I followed my then girlfriend to Singapore. Singapore, as you know, back then, now this was in like 1990s, still a crime to be gay. So I followed her there. It was a long relationship that we had, but it was very self-sabotaging as well. I did it myself. And looking back, I saw that, well, I had no role models. I didn't see a same-sex couple that has been successful, right? And clearly, I didn't see any inclusion, not in society, not at the workplace, maybe only at the gay bars. So that didn't work out, and then I ran away, decided to run away and go to Shanghai, China. Why not? I didn't speak the language, nobody knew me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go there, stay really low profile, don't meet nobody, don't talk to anybody, just keep my head down, work, make a lot of money, and then find a nice boy, have kids. That didn't happen. So I like to hang out, and we will always go to the same places because back then the scene is very small. We'll go to the same places, meet the same people, and then that meetup grew, became bigger, and then we decided, okay, in 2009, some of us were leaving the country, and we said, let's just throw them all a big party and call it Shanghai Pride. Of course, we were very naive. Now, Shanghai Pride gained momentum, and we were only supposed to do it for 1 year, 2009. But then we saw the value of it. All the community allies saw the value of it and said that we need this because at the end of the day, we all need support, we all need to network. And as allies, we can also help. So at its peak, Shanghai Pride had about 30 over events in the course of 3 weeks and was supported by governments, by individuals, by businesses, by media as well. Of course, that didn't come without challenges, right? In the very beginning, 20 years ago, 10, 20 years ago, it was much easier to organize events such as Shanghai Pride. Sure, there were shutdowns, regular venue shutdowns, organizers and venue owners were questioned by authorities, but we always managed. We were creative and we managed to carry on. However, as we grew, we gained more momentum, we grew a little bigger, we grew a little bit more popular. The authorities and the scrutiny from the authorities became more intense. In 2019, we were slapped with a big fine for screening some movies. And some of our volunteers were taken into custody, questioned. Some were forced out of the country. I recently was forced out of the country based on similar circumstances. And then you see that across China, things like shutting down of social media accounts of university groups related to LGBT happen. And then organizations such as LGBT Advocacy China, and most recently, Beijing LGBT Center had to cease operations. But then elsewhere in Asia, I found there is the repeal of 377 in India, repeal of 377A in Singapore, Pink Dot happened in Singapore. And then recently, Bangkok Pride. And then you have folks, Asia Rainbow Ride coming up in October this year. And Gay Games Hong Kong coming out in November this year. So you see, in Asia, yes, it's very varied. You can see things not very good happening, but you can also see hope. Now, I came out in phases throughout my life. Shanghai Pride helped me. I first came out with friends easier, because you don't really know them, and they're your family of choosing. And then to colleagues. Most difficult was to mom. I had to come out to her 3 times. First time she thought I was crazy, I was sick. I said, no. Second time she said, again? And then third time I said, look, Mom, I'm getting married next week, okay? So she's like, okay, do you really have to do this? Because there's no turning back. And then we left it as that. Now, I met my wife during Shanghai Pride, 2013, first Pride run. She basically ran into my life. So we were married 2 years later on the beach of Hawaii. So that was the third time, remember, I said, I came out to my mom 3 times. Third time I said, we're going to Hawaii to get married. So when we left it as that, as there's no turning back, we went anyway. My wife and I went, got married. And then we went our separate ways. No, we didn't break up. She went back to China, and I went back to Malaysia to visit Mom. So I was driving along the road one day, my mom next to me, and she said, so you got married? Got a ring? Uh-huh. You got photos? Mm-hmm. And she said, so your grandmother left you a ring for when you get married, you can take it. Or in this case, you can give it to your wife. I just jammed on the brake, stopped right there, and started crying. Today, my wife and my mom, they're best friends. So shortly after that, I went back to work. Well, I do have a day job, right? I went back to my day job. And this is a new job for me. And then, when you go to work, you have to start writing your application form or say, okay, what's your name, blah, 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 blah. And then to the part when it says, are you married? Okay, I'll say yes. And this is still China. I was still afraid of being discriminated. Are you married? Yes. What is your spouse's name? Okay, I wrote the name there. Do you have a marriage certificate? Yes, I do, from Hawaii. So I put it there, and you know what? 2 weeks later, I received 2 insurance cards, one for me and one for my wife. And that is something that just blew our minds. Like, how is that possible? This is happening in China, but with the company. I thought I was done. I thought when I submitted that form, I was going to be fired immediately after I was hired. So if you look at it, yes, there are thunderstorms in different parts of Asia. But then what happens after the rain is gone? There's always a rainbow, right? And let me tell you this. Folks. Every one of us here, every organization that we are part of or we know of, we can be a part of this rainbow. We can make change. We can advocate for inclusion, right? My mom was an ally to me, is an ally to me. My friends, my colleagues, they supported me. And then the company that I work for, the one that supported me with the insurance, right? So they can do things too. So you see, for companies, if you own a company or you work for a company, maybe you can ask the question, do you have anti-discrimination policies? Are your benefits equal and fair? And as an individual, maybe you can be an ally. Being an ally doesn't mean that you have to know everything about LGBT community. You can just simply wear a rainbow pin during Pride Month or not, or just put a mug that's rainbow. You can buy it in the stores everywhere. To show your support. So when someone sees, like, oh, this person has a rainbow mug. Oh, if I ever come out, I will talk to this person. Who knows? You might save a life. You might change someone's life. And so this is my talk for today, and something for you to take home. Individual or not, organization or not, you are part of the rainbow, and I think we have answered the question up there earlier. Happy Pride.